I'm on a bunny hill. We're gonna watch some visual venture. So you guys may stick around and you guys can just lurk, but if you guys don't wanna watch or if you guys don't wanna hear my video that I'm watching, then you know you guys may hop off, but if you guys want to stay, appreciate you guys. You know, you can just lurk. You guys don't need to type. I mean, if you want to say hi or hey, then I'll be like, you guys can stay. I don't mind. Like, if you guys want to say like hi, I'll be like, okay. Yep. Dude, I've been getting copyrighted a lot of times in a row, bruh. I feel like it's because of the music I play. That's why I try to play like background noises, so like it doesn't get copyrighted. Alright, I'm gonna do that. Damn. There we go. Okay, we got it.
So we turn to his friend Daniel Silva, who's capitalizing off of his newfound fame as an expert tattoo artist. He wanted to expand his content by also making videos on YouTube. He currently has over 900,000 subscribers. At the time of Corey's birthday, Daniel was also under the influence and wasn't fit to drive. Yet, he still agreed, and Corey gave him the keys to his car so that he could take them both home. But sadly for Corey, he made the wrong choice.
The life of a YouTube reality star cut short, killed on his 25th birthday in a violent high-speed crash.
The two got into Corey's 2020 McLaren 600 LT and began the drive. But at around 9:40 p.m., Daniel lost control of the vehicle shortly after, sending it flying off the road. Daniel made it. Corey didn't. After the crash, Daniel attempted to evade police capture, trying to flee the scene, but was stopped by a passerby who tried to help out. The police arrived, he was taken into custody and was held on a $200,000 bond. In July of 2020, Daniel was charged with murder. He and his legal team were hard at work to get that changed. His original sentence was up to 4 years in state prison. But a month later, this was reduced and the tattoo artist was sentenced to 365 days in county jail along with
Match found.
hours of community service and 5 years of probation. It was later revealed that it was Corey's family that asked for these charges to be reduced. A few months later, Daniel broke his silence regarding the entire incident, issuing a formal apology to Corey's fans and family and loved ones.
I want to start off by saying how sorry I am for all the pain that everybody's going through. I'm sorry to Corey. He's a hurtful friend.
Let's do this.
Yo, Mr. Meow, can you meow for us for the one time?
Daniel isn't hurting anyone anymore in videos. Other YouTubers
Yo, Mr. Meow, can you meow for us? Come on, bro.
Daniel may wield the tattoo gun, Mr. Anime uses the real version. Dark fantasy brought to life. The anime community on YouTube has grown to be one of the biggest and most videos. Other YouTubers, I cannot say the same. But while Daniel may wield the tattoo gun, Mr. Anime uses the real version. Dark fantasies brought to life. The anime community on YouTube has grown to be one of the biggest and most
Hey,
engaged on
Deadlock.
the platform. But back
Listen,
in the early days
what do you
of the
get
site, it
when you
wasn't
cross
always
two
like that.
Norwegians?
One of the pioneers of this niche was a YouTuber
Reed, shut
by
up.
the
Gun
name
here.
of Mr.
If you were
Anime,
funny,
or
I'd
Trey
come to your
Eric
open
Sessler.
mic nights.
Having joined back in 2006, Trey was considered one of the more popular content creators with over 1 million views on the channel, which was way more impressive back then. Before he pivoted his channel toward anime, he's been known as Lens Caps Productions. He would post content about his love for film and cinematography, and even upload skits. But his channel started taking off when he began posting anime reviews.
This being your first episode interview, I kind of wanted to start kind of strong and get this one out of the way. So I tried probably Yasha.
He was one of the first ever creators to do anime reviews authentically on YouTube. Many people credit him with helping to kickstart that genre of video. And anime wasn't his only passion. Trey had other interests, firearms. As time went on, his new interests became throughout the years, Trey kept up with the anime uploads, but would diversify his content a bit by implementing combat-themed skits. At one point, he was even posting demonstration videos of his profound collection, telling his audience about each one's first-hand features and
Spike planted.
it became obvious to anyone watching.
Last player standing.
Casual hobby. His enthusiasm for this arsenal soon became a bit concerning as he started making rant videos talking about real-world incidents that involved them. His first rant came in 2009, which talked about Trey's stance on certain world events. But at this point, he hadn't been showing any red flags. And in the rant, he specifically condemned those who used them recklessly, which reassured his viewers. From
Breach.
2010 to 2012,
Between us,
Trey's collection
we have
would
3
make
very
more and
strong
more
arms,
appearances on
don't
his
we?
channel. But nothing seemed to be cause for concern yet, because in his rant, Trey had openly said that he was against the misuse of them. So no one seemed to think that his opinions would change. But as time went on, it was obvious that Trey was developing other interests, ones that were dark and disturbing. Although many of his past anime reviews have been shows with dark themes, Trey had now started becoming fascinated with these themes in real life. He would research actual criminals, looking into their stories, their crimes, and their motivations, which sent him to a point of no return. His behavior started to change both on and off camera. Neighbors reported seeing him running around the neighborhood at night, firing off at empty buildings and
Spike
businesses.
down,
Trey
mid.
had begun taking on too much of a personal interest in
Drop in a
criminals
flash.
he read about. He would spend hours studying
Have one
what
of
they did
these.
to take inspiration from their actions to devise his evil plan. March 2012 was when things imploded. Trey posted a video called Mr. Anime is Planning Something to his YouTube channel.
Enemy
In the video,
spotted.
he expressed that he had found a new opportunity that might take him away from his YouTube channel for a
Reloading.
while, despite his success.
Reloading.
Today's video to let you guys know that
Last player standing.
probably a 2 or 3 week break coming up here from YouTube videos.
Trey then expressed his gratitude to his viewers, with his voice even shaking a bit as he thanked them for supporting him.
I wanna
Hologram.
thank you guys a lot for sticking with me and watching the channel. I have more subscribers than ever. I have more views than ever, and
30 seconds left.
No escape.
Spike
Little
planted.
did his community know that the reason that he would be taking a break would not just be a reward, but a crime. Trey made all the preparations, such as buying supplies and studying floor plans. But before all that, the first step was to get rid of his obstacles, which in Trey's case was his family. And on March 20th, 2012, that is exactly what he
Listen
did.
up.
Afterwards,
Kill them
Trey
before they
wanted
kill
to
us.
move on to step 2. Grabbing his things, he started heading toward his second destination, but couldn't go through with it. It was at that point that the reality of his situation
outta here.
started setting in. Things ultimately got too real for him. He then turned around and went back home to where the police were already waiting.
It's a crime in Waller that shot.
I need a draw.
Now he is headed to prison in a plea deal that not everybody is happy about.
This devastating case was all over the media for weeks, with footage of Trey's interrogation even being made available to the public. Trey was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility
Suppress it.
of parole. But if you thought this case was good, compare
Free
it to
suppressed.
an even more
Enemy
shocking
spotted.
case.
B.
Elliot Rodger was not just a YouTuber turned criminal. He was one of the most twisted individuals on the platform. The infamous incel. Arguably, the most
enemies
infamous YouTubers turned criminal is Elliot Rodger, and his hatred for those who reject him to extreme lengths. Elliot Rodger had been mental illnesses and disorders since he was just 8 years old. He received
Spike
psychiatric
down, B.
treatments and saw
I'm outta here.
therapists regularly, but refused to
One enemy remaining.
Elliot struggled to make friends, often being the subject of bullying. So, like many kids in that sort of situation, he turned to the internet for comfort. There, he started out with an online blog. Reloading. About his struggles with loneliness, particularly when it came to romantic relationships. In real life, Elliot had trouble talking to women and never had a girlfriend before. As a result, he grew resentful of them. Through his content, his dislike for women was clear. He believed that his lack of success in getting into a relationship was not his fault, but rather theirs. And he built a whole online community of like-minded individuals in his subscriber base. On June 4th, 2011, Elliot moved to Isla Vista to attend Santa Barbara City College. But it didn't take long before he dropped out. He decided to still stay in the city even after leaving school. This is where he started showing some red flags. Force suppressed. He became sort of local incidents. He would throw drinks at couples or girls who didn't reciprocate his feelings. One time, he even filled a super soaker with orange juice just to spray it on a
sensor
group of
destroyed.
players in the park. He already showcased his terrible
Spike down B.
Throwing nets. This incident was really what sent him spiraling out of control. On July 20th, 2013, he pushed several blocking movement, supposedly ignored by them at a party. The fun begins. Apparently, what ignited Elliot's rage. Others noticed.
Last player standing.
Men ended up roughing him up. According to Elliot, this was the event that led him into a downward spiral, ready to carry out his twisted manifesto. He dedicated all of his time to secretly his family, purchased a wide range of supplies for his plan. Previously, Elliot had already posted many videos on his YouTube channel, which all have since been deleted. His parents had grown concerned about these videos, so they forced him to take them down, even reported them to the police. But nothing came out of that report, which is why Elliot was able to carry on and do what he did, a crime that would leave the world shocked. For months, Elliot had been writing a manifesto called My Twisted World, the story of Elliot Rodger. In this 107,000-word document, Elliot detailed his entire life from birth, explaining how he went from a happy and to how he is today. All as a result of the world, particularly one of the lines from his manifesto is as follows.
I need help.
All I ever wanted was to fit in and live a happy life amongst humanity. But I was cast out and rejected, forced to endure an existence of loneliness and insignificance. Sensor tripped. Females of the human species.
Ultimate ready.
Then on May 24th,
no escape.
2014, evil plan would come to life. It started with Hong and along with their friend Dave Wang. All three of these were separate incidents at different
Hold them to their
grave! Elliot
there.
uploaded a video on his YouTube channel titled Elliot Rodger's Retribution, where he talked about his thoughts and motives
One enemy remaining.
for enacting his revenge on the women who rejected him.
Concussing!
My revenge.
In a fair fight, I'd still kill you.
The final steps of his plan was to share his manifesto with the world. So Elliot emailed
Please stay
the
alive.
document to 34
I hate making new
people, like his
friends.
family members, his therapist, former teachers, and childhood friends. Once his manifesto and his last video were out into the world, he went to the Alpha Phi sorority house on the Santa Barbara campus. But when his knocks at the door went unanswered, he turned to the members of the Delta 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 sorority nearby. After this, Elliot got back in his car so that he could continue this mission while on the route. Police, upon several 911 calls, arrived at the area and were on active lookout. And
Get
four
out of my
officers
way!
Even ran over him to let him go because they didn't suspect that he was the culprit, which turned out to be a fatal mistake. Elliot would continue his plan of getting into two encounters with the police. Near the tail end of the chase, the YouTuber would crash into a bicycle. So
Enemy spotted A.
Throwing
next. Barrier deployed. Spike planted.
The downfall of these YouTubers teaches us a vital lesson. Internet consequences of their actions. Play War Thunder for free.
Last player standing.
Now, by using my link below, new and returning players will get a massive bonus pack, including
One enemy remaining.
Gadget fun ready. My turn.
Click this playlist right here to watch more Valorant documentaries, because the algorithm is going to promote my channel more if you guys watch multiple videos. Thank you so much for being here. It means
Don't be
the
spending
world.
too
Peace.
many brain cells figuring them out. Overthinking is just as bad as underthinking.
It's such a nice, wholesome toy. We can't mess this one up.
People may be peering into your home without you even knowing.
3
Who's
suppressed.
gonna guess giving a kid a stuffed animal with a microphone connected to the internet in it has the potential to go wrong?
I had no clue that this is dangerous.
So what happens when a children's toy becomes a target for hackers? In 2017, parents found out the hard way when this cute teddy bear allowed hackers to invade the lives of nearly 1 million families. How the hackers got into the teddy bear and the trouble they caused was a nightmare no one saw coming. This
You
is the insane
are
story
powerless.
of how a toy bear leaked 2 million kids' voice chats. I'm Visual Venture.
Spike
and we
planted.
reached
The
our goal
hunt
of
begins.
700,000 subscribers before at the end of this year. Thank you guys a ton, and we are just
Enemy
getting started.
spotted
The
A.
ultimate hacking machine. In 2009, something was invented.
Throw the net.
One
enemy remaining.
Going to make hacking
Go, go, go.
Although Shodan was dangerous, it wasn't locked inside a secret facility
Gun here.
or hidden on the dark web. Anyone
Gun here.
could use it, all they needed was a credit card.
Spike's
So
dead.
exactly
Reload.
what
You're
is
welcome.
Shodan, and how did it make cyber criminals hack the teddy bear? Shodan is a search engine for finding
Attack when
unprotected
they're
devices
suppressed.
on the internet.
Look up their
It scans
options. They make
webcams,
mistakes.
routers, and servers online, and
I'm
checks
feeling
if the
generous.
device has
Who
a
needs a buy?
password.
Once you click search, it'll bring up all the internet-connected devices in Apex, North Carolina by IP address. Let's look at this one here.
Many devices connected to the internet have weak passwords or sometimes no passwords at all. Shodan finds these vulnerable devices and lists them, making it
Let's
easy
get
to
this
know which
done.
devices can easily be hacked. Because Shodan is so dangerous, many states made it a felony to use
Suppress it.
Shodan to collect information about a device that isn't
One
yours,
suppressed.
even if you don't hack the device. Shodan was designed to be a research tool meant for cybersecurity professionals,
Blocking
researchers,
movement.
and law enforcement agencies. But over time,
No escape.
cyber criminals started using it to find targets on the internet. When hackers find a vulnerable database on Shodan, they break in, delete the data, and demand a ransom to restore it. If the stolen data is important, hackers will pay the ransom to get it back.
Like I
Hackers
never
always
left.
in Bitcoin because it can't be traced. There's no money trail. Shodan became so popular among cyber criminals that it was nicknamed the hackers' search engine and the scariest search engine on the internet. Shodan made the internet feel like the high seas, with pirates looking for ships to capture for ransom. Then in 2015, a simple mistake
Spike
made
planted.
this teddy bear
Last
gave
player
cyber
standing.
criminals their biggest opportunity. A toy for the whole family. This is a
Flashbang.
Cloud doll, and it was described as the best toy in the history of toys.
You are so happy.
This is the best toy.
At first glance, Cloud Pets seemed like regular stuffed animals, but they had something inside that
Get
made
ready.
them dangerous.
I go fast.
Released in 2015, Cloud Pets came in 4 variations: dog, cat, teddy bear, and rabbit.
I'm feeling
Each
generous.
doll
Go,
was
go.
12
Who needs a
inches
buy?
tall with soft, cuddly fur.
You know, actually, he feels really nice. I'll give him this for £7. Like,
Feeling
if this
generous.
gimmick doesn't work,
Who
I'll
needs a
come
buy?
out with a nice feeling teddy bear.
But here's the twist. Hidden inside each Cloud Pets toy was a small speaker, microphone, and an internet
Kill
device
all
to
your
send and
opponents.
receive messages. But why would a stuffed animal need all this tech?
So the main concept
Shutting
of
them
this
down.
teddy bear is so people who are far away from their families can send their families messages, and then the message is sent through the bear.
Sending messages through Cloud Pets was easy. Parents or family members downloaded the Cloud Pets app on their smartphones and pressed a button to record a voice message. The message was then sent to the specific
Barrier
Cloud Pets
deployed.
teddy bear connected to that account.
Target
The
spotted
child
A.
would press a button on the phone to hear the message and holding the same
Problem
button
solved.
to record a response. That means a traveling parent or a deployed military member could send a
No
heartfelt
charges.
message to their child's teddy bear at home to be replayed when their child interacts with the bear.
Okay, here we go. The message we've all been waiting for.
Son, it's your father.
Last player standing.
When you create an account with Cloud Pets, you give it your child's name and email address, photo, and all voice messages sent through the Cloud Pets doll were saved in an online database run by Spiral Toys Inc., the company that made
I
Cloud
could just
Pets.
outlive
Cloud
them.
Pets dolls were flying off the shelves,
Nah,
ending
bullets
up
are
in
quick. I could use
thousands
a
of
drop.
homes.
Receive a story from your dad who's far away. Or a
Let her go.
lullaby from mom every day.
Cloud Pets were designed to help parents and kids stay in touch, which was a great idea. But then Spiral Toys, the company behind Cloud Pets, started making some really bad decisions that made them a target for the worst hackers on Earth.
We can do this.
I'm working on it.
From watching her first hockey game
Suppressing.
to playing it. At Credit One Bank, we believe having the credit and rewards for the little moments today can lead to even bigger ones tomorrow. Credit One Bank, for what's ahead.
Why is it always me?
Scratch one, ultimate ready.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Was going to be a problem
Spike
because
spotted
the company
A.
was falling
No
apart.
surprises.
Spiral Toys was facing 2 lawsuits for infringement of intellectual property. Their chief financial officer was convicted of insider trading, and their top distributor canceled a huge order, leaving thousands of toys rotting in a warehouse. The company also made bad decisions, spending
They're done.
$9.6 million on ads instead of securing their database against hackers. That money was also borrowed
this reminds
from
me of
investors.
this one time
So
where
every
I,
time Spiral Toys sold a Cloud Pet, a big
Actually-
chunk of their profit went to pay off the
Reloading.
multi-million-dollar debt. The company was so desperate for cash that when Cloud Pet's sales slowed, they lowered the price to only $1, or in some cases free with the purchase of another item. Within a year, Spiral Toys lost more than 99% of their peak value until their stock price was around zero. By the end of 2016, Spiral Toys was a dying business, cutting corners to
Shutting them down.
Then, in an attempt to save money, they did something
Too
so dumb,
suppressed.
it opened the door for hackers to come in and ruin everything. The leak. They tried to find ways to save money. One of their largest expenses was the cost of storing and protecting their customers' data.
Flash.
Here's where they made their biggest mistake. To cut costs, they stored their data in an insecure database that didn't require authentication to access it. In other words, anyone on the internet could find
Last
it
player
without
standing.
needing
My
a
turn.
password. This was a normally databases with sensitive data are protected by firewalls and passwords. Some companies regularly test their own
Last
databases
round
to make
before
sure
the
they're
switch.
secure. But Cloud
Load
Pets
up.
did
We're
the
not coming
opposite.
back.
They left all their data exposed,
I need a
like
drop.
leaving the front door to a vault wide open. It gets worse when you realize how sensitive Cloud Pets data was. The database provided access to the email addresses, family members' names, passwords, voice recordings, and profile pictures of families using Cloud Pets toys. This included 2.2 million voice
it's
messages
over.
and details on more than 820,000 users. With this Cloud Pets
Knife
data,
deployed.
hackers could steal identities, empty bank accounts, and even blackmail people. Maybe Spiral Toys didn't realize the danger, or maybe they just didn't care. Parents and kids continued to send messages back and forth through the Cloud Pets doll, unaware that every word they said was exposed on the internet. Luckily, cybercriminals haven't found the database just yet. But remember,
Throwing
Shodan,
net.
the search engine scanning the web for
Blocking
unprotected
movement.
systems, it was still scanning, which meant
Go, go,
hackers
go.
could find the Cloud Pets database at any moment. It was a disaster waiting to happen. But there was
No
one man
surprises.
that could save the situation. His name was Troy Hunt. Troy had a very unique job.
Spike
He was
planted.
an independent security researcher and data breach expert. A big part of his job was investigating
No one walks away.
companies sometimes don't notice when
Knife
their data
deployed.
has been hacked or leaked.
One suppressed.
Last player standing.
Contacts the breach company to notify them of the leak. Troy even created a website called Have I Been Home, which helps regular people check if their email has been involved in the
Switching
data.
sides.
In summary, Troy Hunt was the guy you call when hackers
Let's make a
are trying to
plan,
steal
then
your data.
execute.
In February 2017, Troy received a message about one of the biggest data leaks he'd ever seen. Someone reached
I'm
out
outta
to him
here.
claiming he had a copy of the entire Cloud Pets database. As proof, the informant sent Troy a snippet containing around 500,000 records of Cloud Pets customers. Troy's first move was to check if what the guy sent was really the Cloud Pets database. Luckily, Troy knew someone who bought their daughter a Cloud Pet, so he decided to check that person's login details against the leaked data. In no time, Troy was able to locate this person's email address and Cloud Pet's password. Troy also
Chin up,
discovered
cuties, it's
more
not
about
over
the
yet.
person, their kids' names, birthdays, and
Reloading.
their relationship with users like your parents, grandparents, and friends were all accessible. The data was real. In this case,
Shutting
the
them
data
down.
was on the
Let her go.
dark web. Yeah, it was sitting out
Dropping
in the
it.
open,
Too
accessible to
suppressed.
anyone.
Target down. I'm out of here.
Cybercriminals could unleash hell
Reloading.
if they got them.
Reloading. Enemy B.
Stop
Have
it
a
was
kit.
to warn Spiral
Spike
Toys to
carrier
secure
down.
their data.
Ready.
Spike down B.
Something that made the situation much worse. Apparently, the guy who told
One enemy remaining.
He already sent multiple emails to
Spike
Spiral
retrieved.
Deployed.
and he couldn't believe what happened. In
Drop
December
in a
2015, the guy sent his first email to
Spike planted.
but the message immediately bounced back. The guy sent another email to a different Spiral Toys address and waited for a reply. Hours turned into days, but there was no response. 4 days later, he sent a third
Next
email
time,
to Spiral
mind the
Toys
heavy machinery.
provider. Once again, he received no reply. This was more than frustrating. It was dangerous.
I'll shut them down.
After hearing the guy's
Until
story,
then,
Troy
survive.
realized that sending an email to Spiral Toys wouldn't help. So Troy decided to pick up the phone and call the company. That was even worse because their contact information was a mess. Spiral Toys phone numbers went to a man
Spike's
who
here.
claimed
Go, go, go.
he didn't work for Spiral Toys, or it randomly went to a taxi service in New Jersey. He tried to reach them through LinkedIn, Zendesk, Twitter, and even via private
Get
email.
on with it.
Still no response. The Cloud Pets Twitter account was also dormant. It was like Spiral Toys had vanished, leaving customer data floating in the open. In cybersecurity, there is an unwritten rule to give companies time to fix problems before going public. It's
Knife
called
deployed.
responsible disclosure, but it became
No
clear
peeking.
that
Target
Spiral
Troops
Toys
suppressed.
was fixing the problem. None of the Cloud Pets
Target
Bro.
Reloading.
reports and emails were carriers dead. With over 800,000
Spike down,
users
B.
exposed,
Got the
fallout
spike.
could be huge. Then came the last straw.
Style and
Gun here.
substance. In the
Troy realized the Cloud Pets database was indexed by Shodan. Shodan scanned and put it on its list. This increases the chances of cyber criminals finding it. Since Spiral Toys wasn't taking any action, Troy decided to go public. Going public
Can't
with a
use
data
that.
breach can force a company to act, but it can also let hackers know about the
Blinding!
data. It was a risky move, but Hunt didn't have a choice. The
Blocking
moment he
movement.
went public, it would be a
Plant
race
the spike.
to see who acted first. A company trying to secure the data, or criminals trying to steal it. Troy crossed his
No
fingers
escape.
and blew the whistle.
Spike
He published
planted.
a blog post about the exposed database and notified tech
Sound
websites
sensor
like
up.
Motherboard and Vice.
Listening.
Once Vice shared the story, more media outlets picked it up, and the news spread like wildfire.
Which is surprising. Who could have guessed giving a kid a stuffed animal with a microphone connected to the internet in it has the potential to go wrong?
FBI has a warning this morning about smart toys with Wi-Fi
Sensor
and
tripped.
technology, saying that they could be dangerous for your kids.
Cloud Pets, because you are never safe.
Everyone, including those
No
who didn't own a
surprises.
Cloud
Last player standing.
exposed database. The cops even got involved to stop using cloud.
One enemy remaining.
Clutch.
We do have a toy like this.
My rate just
Turn
went
it off
up.
and leave it in a drawer or closet.
Troy
I know.
hoped the media's pressure
great.
would make Spiral
You're
Toys
welcome.
secure the database before the data was stolen.
Gotta go.
Unfortunately, it was too late. Hackers already found the Cloud Pets data. The photos, voice recordings, and emails of more than
Gun here.
800,000 users were now in the hands of cyber criminals. The thing everyone feared finally happened: the ransom. Cyber criminals found the Cloud Pets database and stole the data. But they
Wrap 'em
didn't
up,
just steal
Loki.
it. They went a step further and wiped the entire database clean. In the place of the data was a ransom note demanding Bitcoin as payment for the data. The message read, "Your
Go, go,
database
go.
is backed up on our server. Send 1 Bitcoin to this account and send your IP address to this
Gotta go.
email." If Spiral Toys didn't pay up, the data
Knife deployed.
Barrier
Or
deployed.
something.
Coming
One
through.
suppressed.
Gotta go. Dropping smoke. Right here.
Different hackers
Plant the spike.
stole the data. When parents heard about the ransom
I've one
demands,
of these. Right here.
they called and sent emails to Spiral Toys.
Flash out.
Sensor.
Why didn't the company protect them better? Why didn't they tell customers?
Got him.
However, questions weren't answered because the company's emails and phone lines still weren't active. Parents took to social media to express their frustration. One,
Last player standing.
your little
It's
one
a
has
kind
died. There's a high likelihood that your data is now in the hands of nefarious individuals. Parents were worried about the ransom, but they had a meltdown when cybersecurity experts on TV explained how much damage hackers could do. with
Bragging rights if you get
data.
first pick.
It included voice recordings from kids. Hackers could use the recordings to impersonate children. They could scam parents by sending fake messages pretending to be their child in need of help.
Go, go, go.
Hackers also stole email addresses and passwords. Data shows that 78% of people reuse the same password across multiple accounts, so hackers could use the stolen passwords to break into other accounts like banking, social media, and shopping websites. Another problem is identity theft. The FBI explained that hackers could use CloudPet's data to steal a child's identity, open credit accounts, and even find their home. In a worst-case scenario, hackers could use the voice recordings of parents and contact kids.
Spike down mid.
Talking to a trusted
Reloading.
family member. These weren't far-fetched scenarios. They could actually happen if the data wasn't recovered. The hackers were demanding a ransom to return. The big question was whether Spiral Toys would pay. After pressure from the media, Spiral Toys finally released a statement. What they said,
One enemy remaining.
parents
Last player standing.
what they got was a series of excuses. In an official statement,
Hold them
Spiral
to
Toys
their
described
grave!
it as minimal and said
Nothing
they
there.
took immediate action to protect them. Initially, the CEO of Spiral Toys claimed that the company never received the warnings about the leak. He said the company
Don't get shot.
even checked its
Human
email
brains are hard to
inboxes, but
replace.
didn't find any messages from security researchers warning about the breach. That was quickly debunked by Troy Hunt, who repeatedly tried to contact them before going public. After saying that the company never received warnings, the Spiral Toys CEO changed the story, saying, "We did have a reporter try to contact us multiple times last week. You don't respond to some random person about a data
Quick
breach."
feet, quick
Spiral
trigger.
Toys wasn't done annoying its victims. In a statement published on the CloudPets website, the company explained why it stored its customer data
I'm
on
outta
a
here.
secure online database. The company said the unprotected database was being used for a short time during an upgrade to the CloudPets app. Also, the database was managed by an outside company, so technically CloudPets didn't screw up. This excuse only made them look irresponsible. The public backlash was so strong that Amazon, Walmart, and Target pulled the CloudPets dolls from their stores. They didn't want to be associated with a company that fumbled such a serious
One enemy
ultimate
remaining.
it was
ready.
a huge blow to Spiral Toys considering the company was already
Suppress
struggling
it.
to stay in business.
Spike
After getting
planted.
kicked out of big stores, Cloud Pets ended up
Dropping
in 99-cent
smokes.
stores. Someone saw it and tweeted all the compromised Cloud
Right
Pets
here.
at the 99-cent store. I like how they covered the name with a sticker hoping nobody notices. But Spiral Toys was in more trouble. A senator sent a letter to the company demanding answers about the breach. There was even a possibility of criminal charges
Charge
depending
and
on the
shoot.
facts of
Easy
the case.
enough.
So how did this
Reloading.
crazy story end?
I'm outta
That's
here.
effective. Maybe getting a tattoo at a music festival is a bad idea.
Spike here.
Paying
Go, go,
ransom
go.
doesn't guarantee that the data will be returned, so Cloud Pets never paid it. Besides, Spiral Toys was so broke, they couldn't even afford to pay it even if they wanted to. This also meant that criminals still had the data and could use it in many terrible ways. Cloud Pets customers changed the passwords to their accounts to protect themselves. While changing passwords was necessary,
Go,
it
go,
might
go.
not have been enough to undo the damage. In 2017 alone, more than
Multiple
1 million
target speed.
victims of identity fraud
Suppress it.
in total losses
Coming
of
through.
3.6
Gotta go.
billion.
Three suppressed.
That's data was
Reloading.
data.
Reloading. Throwing
That
next.
be why children's identity
Finish.
theft increased that year. According
You
to Troy Hunt
are
and other sites,
powerless.
experts, Cloudpet's database is making rounds in the internet underground. This means that families could still be at risk even years after their CloudPets data was stolen.
One enemy remaining.
Gotcha, fun.
One enemy
My
remaining.
turn.
Websites and some secondhand
Reloading.
but you can find one at a local spot.
Barrier
Prices range
deployed.
from the original
Reloading.
retail value of $14.99 to $24.99 or
Time to die. Don't make a fuss.
The company suffered data breaches, didn't tell anyone, were held
Time to
ransom,
take these arms for a spin.
by researchers,
I need a
allowed
drop.
children's
Talk,
voice
talk.
data to be compromised, and were pretty bad at doing the right thing all along. Maybe it was for the best that they shut down. The good news is that the CloudPet scandal raised awareness about the risks of internet-connected toys.
First thing you want to do is really
Reloading.
research the product. You don't want to just buy any product.
I'm outta
You
here.
wanna make sure you know the company, you know where they're storing your information.
Troy Hunt gave the best advice on this issue. He said if it's connected to the internet, you can't treat it like it's a child's
Gotta go.
plaything. There are very real risks involved whenever data is uploaded to a server, even if it comes from a toy. It's up to us to be aware, informed, and careful in this increasingly connected visual venture.
No one walks away.
Check out
Shutting
another
them
video
down.
how one hacker exposed 37
One
million
suppressed.
I'm outta here.
Okay guys, peace.
Dropping.
I need a reset.
You get guaranteed 4 p.m. check.
Here. Cat.
Requesting manual reset.
Spike planted.
Power systems restored.
The hunt begins.
Back like I never
Oh Lord
left.
have mercy.
One enemy remaining.
About 206,000 children in the United
I
States.
can't hear.
Quit your tiptoeing.
The toy just suddenly started burning.
You're all more important than words in a brief. Look out for each other.
Kids' toys are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's no surprise because parents love seeing their kids have fun. In 2023 alone, Americans spent $28 billion on toys. But sometimes the toys meant to make kids happy end up putting them in the hospital. Every 3 minutes, one child is treated in a U.S. emergency room for a toy-related injury. We'll rank dangerous kids' toys that got banned, starting from minor injuries to serious consequences. My name is Visual Venture. I'll be with you guys for support. The Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab. In 1950, a mysterious red box showed up
Ultimate ready.
Looks like
Go, go, yeah. Enemies.
on the outside box.
Who's new toy? Gilbert
Reloading.
U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. The science kit lets kids conduct experiments.
Bye-bye.
Last player standing.
There was just one problem.
Spike down
Science kit
A.
contained radioactive materials, kind used in nuclear bombs.
It's because it comes with resources of radiation and 4 uranium ores that are also radioactive.
So who thought it was a good idea to put radioactive materials in? The man behind the Gilbert Atomic Energy Kit was Alfred Carlton Gilbert, a famous toy inventor.
We live in an age of
You're not being shot at, you're doing something wrong.
We present the finest toy line in our history.
By 1950, people were very interested in atomic energy. World War II just ended, the first atomic bomb had been dropped, and nations were scrambling to build nuclear weapons. Gilbert believed this was the perfect time for an educational toy that taught kids about atomic energy. The toy was marketed to parents as a way to direct their children toward a potential career in science and
I
engineering.
will not die today. Or spikes down.
Spike down B.
He just kissed his dead grandma like 20 times.
Last player standing.
I'm out of here.
I'm not trying to be mean, but like, what kind of channel is this?
Some of
Match
the scariest
point.
things ever
One
recorded aren't
downside
in
to
horror
being a
movies.
more-
They're on YouTube. These are the
can't believe
creepiest
it.
videos
Reloading.
ever posted on YouTube, ranked from the least to the most unsettling. I noticed, friends, that 69% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you did, because I plan to double the amount of videos I give you guys, and this would help a ton.
Sorry, Visual
I'm Visual
Venture.
and you are awesome.
I like your
My
video,
great-grandmother's
though. I don't know
coffin.
about subscribing.
On October
Just yet.
29th, 2010, a video titled "My Dead Great-Grandmother's Coffin in My Own Backyard" showed up on YouTube. It was uploaded by a man named DJ Jeff Joe. He
Target
even tweeted
spotted B.
about it, urging
Get out of my way!
But those who clicked quickly realized it wasn't a typical YouTube video. It was very disturbing. There's no one talking
Last
in the
player
video, just
standing.
weird background noise. Soon viewers realized why. DJ Jeff Joey was deaf and used sign language to communicate.
You will
In
not
sign
kill
language,
my
he claimed
allies.
that he wanted to share
Refreshing.
footage he filmed years earlier. That was in October 2000, and that's when things got really creepy. The first
Defenders
thing Joey
win.
did was hold up a human skull. He claimed it belonged to his great-grandfather, but he never explained how he got it. Then he casually dropped the skull and moved on to something more unsettling. He announced that his great-grandmother's coffin was in his backyard. According to Joey, his grandma passed away in 1945 and was buried in a cemetery. And 20 years ago, that cemetery shut down. But instead of finding another burial site, Joey kept his grandma's coffin in his own backyard of all places. And he was so proud of it. He made a video to tell the world. But Joey didn't just talk about the coffin in his backyard, he wanted to show it. But simply showing the coffin wasn't enough. Joey wanted to take it a step further. He wanted to show what was inside. He signed, "I've been taking care of her casket, checking to make sure everything is okay, so wanted to see what she looked like today." He turned his camera toward the coffin and slowly lifted the lid. Inside was his great-grandmother's body, dry and stiff. If that wasn't creepy enough, Joey leaned in and he kissed his great-grandmother's corpse. A few seconds later, the video ended. Those who watched it were horrified.
He just kissed his dead grandma like 20 times.
Some questioned if it was even real. But Joey's actions also raised a bigger question. Was this even legal? Normally, keeping human remains requires legal approval and strict health regulations. But based on what Joey showed, none of these rules seem to have been followed. Despite that, authorities never got involved and YouTube never removed the video. About 15 years later, it's still online. This next video isn't just creepy. Some think it's also supernatural. Robert the Doll. When the video Robert the Doll caught moving on camera was uploaded to YouTube, it shook people to their core. At first glance, it was just a video of a child's doll, but one thing made it extremely creepy. The footage showed a close-up of Robert the Doll. It was an old doll with dark, beady eyes and a stuffed dog in his lap. Then the camera zoomed in to the doll's leg, and right before the viewer's eyes, the leg moved. At least that's what it looked like. It was just a tiny twitch, but that was enough to make viewers freak out.
I came across this footage of Robert the Doll, and some people say that it appears his leg moves in this video.
But why did so many believe this doll had actually come to life? To understand that, you need to know about Robert's dark history. The first thing you should know is that Robert the Doll is known as the world's most haunted doll. The doll's story goes back to the early 1900s. The doll was given to a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto as a gift, and from that moment they were inseparable. He talked to it and ate meals with it. The family said it was as if the boy could see something in the doll that others couldn't, and whenever something went wrong, Eugene had one
Match
response.
found.
Robert did. It was as if the doll was alive. Even when Eugene grew old, he never let go of his beloved doll. After he passed away, his wife donated Robert the Doll to the East Martello Museum, and that's when the rumor started. Museum staff claimed Robert would change positions when no one was looking. Some visitors swore they saw his facial expression shift.
Things that you see on TV about other dolls, they're not real. Robert is real.
Word spread fast. Soon, people flocked to the museum to see if the rumors were true. But there was one strict rule. Before taking a photo of Robert the Doll, you had to ask it for permission. Many ignored the warning, and according to the legend, those who broke the rules suffered horrible misfortunes, car crashes, job losses, and even divorce.
People that come in and say this is just a joke, this is all fake, they're the ones who get hit the hardest.
Initially, many people didn't believe the stories, but when the Robert the Doll Caught Moving video came out, it convinced a lot of them that Robert wasn't just a creepy toy, and that he was alive.
We have all put our fears and our energy into this thing. We have created Robert the Doll. We make monsters, and then we can't
Remember,
control them when they
friends,
get out into the world.
This
we're
next
doing
video
this
was so
to protect
creepy that people
our
started
people.
wondering if the creator
It's
was
the
losing
only
their
way.
mind. In love with a monster. Love stories aren't usually creepy, but this one is. A few years ago, a woman named Lynn Ann made a video talking about how much she loved a man, but instead of being cute, it was so disturbing that viewers even demanded YouTube to take down the video. The question is why? Lynn Ann's video began with her staring into the camera. Her voice was slow and flat as she repeated the same phrase over and over again.
Eric Harris rocks
Reloading.
my world. Eric Harris
Shutting them down.
rocks my world.
She sounded robotic, like she was stuck in a trance. But there was something more disturbing about this video. Eric Harris, the guy she was professing her love for, was considered a monster. He was one of the masterminds behind the 1999 tragedy at Columbine High School. But to Lynn Ann, he was perfect. Social media exploded with reactions. One commenter wrote, "Lynn Ann is a deranged woman. She's in her mid-30s and acts like an edgy teenager." Another who claimed to know her personality added, "She really does believe she's Mrs. Eric Harris." Not even trolling, she actually feels it. At first, people thought it was just a bizarre one-time video. Then they dug deeper, and what they found made everything worse.
Reloading.
Lynn Ann's obsession with Eric Harris was her entire online
Last
life.
player
She ran a
standing.
YouTube channel dedicated to him. In one video, she proudly held up a custom mug.
This is my Eric Harris mug. It was a gift.
In another, she showcased her collection of eerie jewelry.
Well, here's my Eric Harris
Catch your breath.
necklaces. I just wanted
Not that I need
show
to,
you.
of course.
On Facebook, her bio casually declared, "I love to model, act, write, shop till I drop, and I so love Columbine Eric Harris." In another disturbing Facebook post featuring Harris's photos, she wrote, "If you were a hamburger at McDonald's, you would be a McGorgeous." As word spread about Lynn Ann's disturbing videos, people demanded YouTube to take
No
action,
more theory.
and they did. YouTube deleted her entire channel. Not long after Lin Ann disappeared from social media. Today, she's been mostly forgotten, but those who remember her videos still find them deeply unsettling. Up next, we're going to talk about a live stream that became popular for a really weird reason. Sitting and smiling. If you come across a video titled Sitting and Smiling, you might think your screen is frozen. It shows a man sitting on the floor staring at the camera. He doesn't speak, he doesn't move, he just smiles. For 4 hours straight. That man is a YouTuber named Benjamin Bennett. Every week, he would live stream himself sitting still and smiling, never breaking character, never explaining why. And viewers had a lot of questions.
4 hours. Okay, guys, seriously, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, what kind of channel is it?
Some think it's a form of art, some think it's meditation, while others think he may be mental.
Stay down.
Last player standing.
Sit here in the corner and smile at the camera for 4 hours. Start the timer. Oh, how long's that been? Is it done? How long was that? 2 seconds.
Despite the questions, Benjamin never explained himself. He just kept making
30
more
seconds
videos,
left.
sitting and staring for hours. Eventually, he had hundreds of videos. However, out of all of them, Sitting and Smiling number 5 is still one people can't forget. Because 2.5 hours into that live stream, something very weird happened. In Sitting and Smiling number 5, for over 2 hours, nothing unusual happened. Benjamin just sat on the floor staring
10 seconds
directly
left.
at the camera, smiling. Then at exactly 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 30 seconds, a noise broke the silence. It was coming from Benjamin's front door. It sounded like someone was turning the doorknob trying to get in. Then slowly the door creaked open. The man peeked his head inside. He looked like he wasn't supposed to be there. The intruder looked at Benjamin sitting on the floor and said, "Hello?" Most people would have been scared or at least turned their head, but Benjamin didn't flinch or acknowledge the man at all. He just kept staring directly at the camera, smiling. The intruder stood there for a moment. Then, without another word, he slowly closed the door and left. And Benjamin kept sitting there for another hour and a half, completely unfazed. The moment was so weird that when the live stream ended, people flooded the comment section trying to make sense of it. His head slowly turns to the robber while he's smiling. The robber would have cried like a 3-year-old girl. If I was the guy breaking in, I would have freaked out if I broke into someone's house while they just sat there and smiled, even without reacting. It took a year for Benjamin to finally comment on it. In an interview with Vice Media, he answered the burning question in his mind. Was there really an intruder in his most famous video? He confirmed the intruder was real, saying, "So I had an idea that he was breaking in, but I knew from the beginning that I wasn't gonna move. Then I heard him, creeping up the stairs toward my room, and he opened the door and said, 'Hello?' And I didn't move, and he closed the door and left the house." Then Benjamin explained why he didn't react. "I knew that as long as I didn't react, whatever was going to happen in that situation would make a really amazing video. I think making that video was more important to me at the time." Benjamin said that after the live stream ended, he
Last player standing.
Even after that, he still kept making the sitting and smiling videos, each one 4 hours long. Today, there are hundreds of those videos on Benjamin's channel, and each one is very unsettling. Sometimes a video is so confusing, it becomes creepy. That's exactly the case with this next one.
This may be the last ad you see. With Hi Adblock, visit your favorite
You're
website
up.
and watch
Stay
ads
safe.
disappear.
Going back.
Blank Room Soup. In 2005, a video titled blankroomsoup.avi appeared on YouTube, but nothing about the video made sense. A man sits in an empty room with white walls eating soup with an oversized spoon. Then from behind, a strange cartoonish character with a massive head steps toward the man. The man doesn't react, he just keeps eating, then starts crying. The mascot pats his back to comfort him. Seconds later, another mascot steps into the frame to Then the video ends with no explanation and no context. The internet started asking questions. When Blank Room Soup went viral, everyone had theories about what it meant. Some seemed logical.
Maybe there's a deeper meaning behind this. I definitely was thinking about that. If it is like an art house film or some kind of short film, like an interpretation. Yes.
But the most disturbing theory claimed that the man was being forced to eat the
Enemy
remains of
spotted
his
A.
own body.
Spike down A.
Nasty. Being forced to eat human remains. What kind of human remains? I don't know, but I don't want to know.
Others believed it was a punishment tape from the Chinese mafia, a brutal warning to their enemies. Then the mystery deepened. A
Last
second
player
showed up,
standing.
and it was called Blank Room Soup 2. first video, except this time the mascots rushed toward the man as if they were about to attack. But there was a break in the case. Internet detectives figured out where the mascots in the video were from. They were Ray Rays, which were cartoonish figures created by animator Raymond Percy. He used them for his live performances. Naturally, all eyes turned to Percy. But Percy denied everything. He claimed his Ray Ray costumes were stolen from his trailer months earlier. If that was true, then whoever stole them was likely behind the video. But no one knew who. For nearly 2 decades, the mystery has remained unsolved. Some say that Percy didn't file a police report, which was weird, but no one knows for sure. This next video wasn't staged or scripted. It was a disturbing moment of someone's real life. The elevator girl. On February 13th, 2023, the LA police uploaded an unsettling video to YouTube. It was CCTV footage from the Cecil Hotel.
Spike down
The clip
A.
showed a young woman acting strange inside an elevator. She pressed multiple buttons, looked around nervously, and stepped in and
Last player standing.
almost like she was talking to someone, but no one was there. Then she walked away. It was the last time anyone saw her. Her name was Lisa.
My ult's ready.
A college student from Canada visiting California. She arrived in Los Angeles in January 2013 and checked into the Cecil
They're going to
Hotel.
scatter
But
from my
this
stuff.
wasn't just any hotel.
Super easy
The
to
Cecil
pick
had
up.
a dark history. It was a scene of many violent crimes. At one point, Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, stayed there while committing brutal crimes in the 1980s. When Lisa first checked in, she shared a room with another guest, but a roommate quickly complained about Elisa's strange behavior. Elisa left unsettling notes around the room with messages like, "Go home and go."
Don't worry,
She also
I'll
locked
keep
the
it
door
quiet.
and demanded a password before letting her roommate in. Before long, Elisa was moved to a private room.
Shutting them
Elisa
down.
also kept in touch with her parents, calling them every day. And on January 31st, the day she was supposed to check out of the hotel, she went silent. Her parents immediately knew something was wrong. They
Spike down
contacted
A.
the LAPD and a search began. Elisa's belongings were still in the room, but there was no sign of her. Then,
You should run.
checked the hotel's CCTV footage. The last known footage of Elisa was taken inside the hotel elevator. In the video, she seemed anxious, pressing multiple buttons and behaving strangely like
Last player standing.
Finally, Elisa walked out of the elevator. Hoping for leads, the LAPD released the footage to the public. Instead of answers, it led to a lot of speculation. Some people believed she was playing the Korean elevator game. This is a ritual that supposedly opens a portal to another dimension. Others thought she was suffering a mental breakdown. A darker theory suggested she was interacting with a ghost. For 2 weeks, Elisa was missing. Then they found her in the last place anyone expected. Guests at the Cecil Hotel started
Imposter
complaining
kill.
about the water.
The pressure in the water was terrible. The shower was awful. The water, and when you turn the tap on, the water was coming black
Enemy
first.
down.
A hotel
30
worker
seconds
went
left.
to check the rooftop water tanks. When he opened the tank, he found Elisa floating face up inside.
Nearly 3 weeks after Elisa Lam went missing, a body has been found in a water tank on the roof of her hotel.
An autopsy was conducted. It was ruled an accidental drowning. But nothing about the case made sense. The rooftop
10
was
seconds
locked
left.
and only staff had access. The tanks were difficult to climb into and the lids were heavy. How did she get in? How did she lift the lid by herself? Her parents sued the hotel for failing to protect Elisa, but the lawsuit was dismissed. To this day, no one knows exactly how
what
Elisa
must
got
be
into
done.
the water tank. But one thing is certain, her elevator video is one of the creepiest videos ever posted on YouTube. And if you thought this story was unsettling, the next video is even stranger. It'll leave you questioning everything. The Lost Boy.
Dunkin's $6 meal deal. It's a big deal. You get a medium iced or hot coffee.
In May 2009, a teenager
This is
named
gonna be
Will
fun.
Norton uploaded a video to his YouTube channel. It was titled, "I Nearly Died." In the video, Will described a
Shutting them
terrifying
down.
event that nearly took his life.
It's May 8th, 2009, and today I nearly died.
It's you and me! The video felt really creepy because if you compare what Will said in that video to what happened next, it seemed like he unknowingly predicted his own fate. The video starts with Will describing his morning, waking up to extreme weather.
I wake up this morning and it is storming like crazy. I can hear the hail on the roof. I look out my window. The pool is going crazy. It's still pitch dark outside, and it's like 7:20.
Last player
Storm,
standing.
Will got into his Hummer and started driving to school, but he quickly realized it was a mistake. Traffic lights exploded as he passed. A power plant near his school blew up just seconds before he drove by. Suddenly his car didn't
Keep in mind, I drive a Hummer, so really I shouldn't have any reason to be scared. But then I turn on the main road of my town.
I'll surviving danger too. Can't say the same for you fragile humans.
He realized that no one else from his class had made it. The storm was too serious. Will ended the video by saying he felt lucky to have survived. Unfortunately, Will's luck was about to run out. Fast forward 2 years to May 22nd, 2011. That day, Will Norton was graduating from Joplin High School. He was surrounded by friends and family when suddenly the tornado sirens went off. That meant a tornado was coming, so people had to get to safety. Will and his father, Mark Norton, left the ceremony early, driving home in the same Hummer that Will used in the storm 2 years prior. Will and his dad were 20 minutes away from home when the tornado hit. It was an EF5 tornado with 200 miles per hour winds. Simply put, the tornado was strong enough to crush buildings and destroy everything in its path. The tornado grabbed the Hummer and tossed it around, flipping it.
Last player standing.
Will's father managed
Spike
to stay
down, B.
Will wasn't so lucky. The door ripped open and Will was sucked into the tornado. When the storm passed, rescue crews rushed in.
Over the weekend, 70 tornadoes in 70 states, but what happened here in Joplin was certainly the worst.
But Will was nowhere to be found. His family frantically searched hospitals hoping for a miracle. More than 150 volunteers were involved in the search, and thousands of people followed the Help Find Will Norton Facebook page. Then nearly a week later, search crews found him. Will was found in a pond. He didn't survive. Now, watching Will's old video doesn't feel like a survival story. It felt like a prediction. 5 years after Will's passing, his father revealed that Will's room is still the way he left it, and his family misses him every day. These videos prove that the internet doesn't need jump scares to be terrifying. Sometimes the most unsettling content is the stuff people post without thinking twice. Visual venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you watch the video on the Taurus deleted from YouTube because it's really close to this.
Our spike carrier is killed.
Spike down, mid.
The future of your business is here.
Last player standing.
Ooh. See, this is how you do it, bro. This is how you open packs. So how box works is you could open it.
Three for me.
A new day, a new twist in the saga surrounding the death of
one enemy remaining.
Have arrested a suspected female super agent in this James Bond-style hit. One of the suspects, Indonesian.
If I power down, restart me.
She thought she
You
was
leave me
taking
for
part
scrap,
in a harmless
I'll kill
prank
you.
as part of a reality TV show. If convicted, the two women may pay with their lives. But one thing is clear, this is one of the most bizarre murder plots in decades.
In 2017, two women were facing the death penalty because they pulled a prank on some random guy. But it turns out their prank was actually part of a James Bond-style assassination, and the women had no clue that the hunt begins. This is the bizarre story of how a YouTube prank killed Kim Jong-un's brother. I'm Visual Venture, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. The prank of a lifetime. In 2017, two young women, CT and Dawn, were offered what seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to become celebrities. All they had to do was star on a prank show that would be aired on YouTube.
Spike down, attacker spawn.
Gimana ya, terkenal kayak boom prank. Jadi saya juga mikirnya, oh ya udahlah gitu.
To these young women,
last player standing.
They were going to be paid $100 to $150 per prank, meaning if they pranked 10 people a day, they could make $1,000 to $1,500 daily. Not many YouTube channels can afford to pay that much. The amazing day, the prank of a lifetime. In 2017, two young women, CT and Dawn, were offered what seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to become celebrities. All they had to do was star on a prank show that would be aired on YouTube and TV.
Gitu lucu-lucuan gimana kayak gimana ya, terkenal kayak boom prank. Jadi saya juga mikirnya, oh ya udahlah gitu.
To these young women, it was a dream come true. They were going to be paid $100 to $150 per prank, meaning today they could make $1,000 to $1,500 daily. Not many YouTube channels can afford to pay that much. The way CT and Dawn got hired was pretty strange. No application, no nothing. Before this job came up, CT and Dawn didn't even live in the country. CT was in Malaysia working part-time as a masseuse in a a spa. But the spa wasn't exactly what it seemed. Let's just say it offered extra services. One night, CT met a man at a bar who called himself James. After chatting for a while, he offered her a spot in a new reality show where she played pranks on random strangers.
One enemy remaining.
Woman,
Last
Dawn, was
player
working
standing.
As an escort thousands of miles away in Hanoi, Vietnam. She met another man who called himself Mr. Y, also at a bar. Soon enough,
Last
he
round
offered her
in the half.
chance to be on the same prank show. CT and Dawn didn't know each other and lived in different countries, but they were both thinking the same thing. This job wasn't just about the money or fame for them. They spent years doing whatever they could to survive, often in ways that they weren't proud of. Now, they finally found a job they'd feel proud to tell their families about. However, this dream job was about to become a nightmare because James and Mr. Y weren't talent scouts or content creators. They were actually hitmen from North Korea. As you know, North Korea is one of the most oppressive countries in the world, run by a ruthless dictator, Kim Jong-un.
You should run.
Iron fist jailing citizens over things as simple as
No one walks away.
TV shows and having the wrong hairstyle. Sometimes he even sends assassins to other countries to hunt down and eliminate people he considers enemies. And these North Korean spies, James and Y, were on a mission to carry out their next hit
One
on
suppressed.
behalf of the dictator. But they needed to make sure that this particular hit
Last player standing.
Korea. So they came up with a plan. They tricked everyone else into doing the dirty work for them. That's where CT and Dawn came in. They were young, naive, and struggling to make a better life for themselves. In other words, they were perfect victims. James and Mr. Y made an offer too tempting to pass up, offering the
Switching
women fame,
sides.
fortune, and a chance to escape their tough lives.
I
The
hate to
spies
say
promised
it,
to fly
but
CT and
probably
Dawn
best
around
to
the
play as a
world,
team.
pulling pranks in
So,
famous cities
what's
like
the plan?
Macau and America. But there was one catch. They needed to pull one big prank at an airport. That prank was special, and if it went well, it would make them stars. To prepare, CT and Dawn had to practice the pranks to make sure they'd be perfect for the big day. From January 5th to January 9th, 2017, James made CT practice in malls and hotels around Kuala Lumpur. She'd walk up to random men, ask them to close their eyes, and then spray them with water. Then she'd laugh, apologize, and run away while
I
James
won't lose you all
was off.
again.
Next, James flew CT to Cambodia for more training. That's with
Shutting them
Mr.
down.
Chang, the main producer for the YouTube channel. Mr. Chang took over her training and things got serious. CT went through several practice runs and they were really impressed with her skills. They even raised her pay to $200 per prank, which was way more than she earned at. Meanwhile, back in Vietnam, Dawn was also getting her own training. Mr. Y would point out people in the crowd for Dawn.
Spike
She'd
planted.
sneak up behind them, rub a harmless substance on her face, and then run.
Last player standing.
Stuff rubbed on her face was harmless. There was even security footage showing Dawn practicing her pranks in a Vietnamese airport. At this point, neither woman suspected a thing. They thought they were training for pranks, but actually they were rehearsing for an assassination.
TurboTax Free Edition. 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/rate.
One enemy remaining.
In February 2017, just days before their big prank at the Malaysian airport, CT and Dawn were buzzing with excitement. This was it, the prank that would launch their careers. Well, they were right about one thing. They
Match
were going
point.
to become famous,
Ability,
just not in the way
make it
that you
dedication,
imagine.
time.
The plan. On
That's
the
all
morning
we
of
need.
February 13th, 2017, CT showed up at the Malaysian airport, heart racing with excitement. At 8 a.m., she sat down with Mr. Chang in a coffee house that offered an excellent view of the airport terminal. Mr. Chang's instructions were simple but specific. CT would sneak up behind a target, smear a substance on his face, and then quickly leave to wash her hands. Mr. Chang told CT the second woman would join the prank. This other woman who'd been given similar directions by Mr. Y.
Three
That day at the
suppressed.
airport was the very first time CT and Dawn ever met. But in a few minutes, they would become partners in one of the strangest assassinations in history. Mr. Chang took a small container out of his backpack and poured an oily substance onto CT's hands. At the same time, Mr. Y handed Dawn a cloth soaked in a similar oily liquid. The liquid had a weird smell like machine oil. That was strange because it was different from the liquid they used when practicing the pranks. But this oily substance wasn't just different, it was toxic. It was called VX, one of the deadliest poisons known
Spike
to man.
planted.
So what exactly is VX? It is the most powerful nerve agent ever created.
VX is
Last
classified
player
as
standing.
a weapon of mass destruction and banned around the world. Just 30 micrograms, which is less than a grain of sugar, can be fatal. It attacks the nervous system, disrupting signals from nerves and muscles. After VX
Attackers
causes
win.
drowsiness, headaches, and nausea. Within minutes, those symptoms turn into full-body paralysis and then death. If VX is so dangerous, why didn't it make CT and Dawn sick? Well, it's made up of two separate components. As long as the two parts are separate, they're harmless. But when those two parts are mixed together, they turn into a deadly substance. Since CT and Dawn each had only one part of the substance on their hands, they were completely safe. But if everything went according to plan, both parts of the VX would be on their target's face in just a few minutes. As they sat there waiting to pull off the prank, they were buzzing with excitement. They had no clue that they were about to end someone's life. The North Korean spies chose Malaysia for a reason. It was one of the few countries where North Korea could enter without a visa. This relaxed travel policy, meant to boost tourism, gave the agents the freedom to move without raising suspicion. 4 North Korean agents arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport to oversee the assassination. They blended into the crowd, posing as ordinary tourists and businessmen. As CT, Dawn, and Mr. Chang waited, their target arrived at the airport. Mr. Chang pointed him out. He was a middle-aged man in a gray blazer carrying a dark backpack and checking in under the name Kim Chul. As CT and Dawn watched their target stroll through the airport, they had no idea he was more than just an ordinary businessman. In reality, he was Kim Jong-nam, the older brother of North Korea's dictator. But why would the dictator send hitmen to eliminate his own brother? Kim Jong-un's brother, Kim Jong-nam, was once set to be the next leader of North Korea. As the oldest son of the former dictator, Kim Jong-nam was raised like a prince. But when he turned 30, he did something that embarrassed his entire country. He was arrested trying to enter Japan with a fake passport so he could visit Disneyland Japan.
The much publicized incident is said to have deeply embarrassed his father, cementing Kim Jong-il's negative view of his eldest son.
The scandal cost Kim Jong-nam his spot as the heir. Instead, his younger brother Kim Jong-un was made next in line to rule the country. Because of this, Kim Jong-nam moved to Macau in China. But although he was far away, he lived in constant fear. Kim Jong-nam's worries began after his father passed and his younger brother Kim Jong-un took over as North Korea's supreme leader. The two brothers did not get along, and Kim Jong-nam often gave interviews criticizing his brother's harsh rule. Things escalated when rumors spread that Kim Jong-nam was selling North Korean secrets to the CIA. That's when the dictator Kim Jong-un decided to silence his older brother for good. This brings us back to February 13th, 2017, when Kim Jong-nam arrived at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. In the crowded airport, he felt safe. He had no idea that he was walking right into a
Match
trap,
found.
the assassination.
When you shop in the Safeway app, you can count on us to choose fresh produce, guaranteed. Even if you can't count on Mom to eat her veggies.
Let's do this.
Why is everybody coming up with ads like it's 2010?
Got to.
This comment section takes 5 seconds to set out and blocks ads on each website. It makes the ads for it's that simple. No more ads. But it gets even better. With
As Kim Jong-nam entered the airport's departure hall, everything seemed normal. People hurried by, dragging their luggage and checking flight boards. Kim blended right in. A few feet away, CT and Dawn were making their way toward him with VX poison on their hands. As Kim got closer to the check-in area, they sprang into action. CT rushed to Kim from behind. She covered his eyes as if playing peekaboo and then wiped her hands over his mouth, leaving an oily smear. Before he could react, Dawn was right there too. She lunged forward and rubbed the cloth across his face.
He's approached by this woman at the airport, and as you can see, a second woman there is lunging from behind. She has a cloth and holds it over his face.
Remember, VX is made of two separate components that are harmless on their own. CT and Dawn each carried one part which kept them safe. But once both parts mixed on Kim Jong-nam's face, the VX became toxic. The whole attack took just seconds. CT and Dawn hurried off in opposite directions, leaving Kim standing alone with the oily stuff on his face. At least 6 CCTV cameras captured the incident. Within moments, Kim realized something was seriously wrong. His vision started started to blur and his skin felt hot. He stumbled toward the airport clinic, desperate for help. Kim was rushed into an ambulance, but it was too late. He never made it to the hospital. It was obvious that this was an assassination. In the days after the incident, everything was a big mystery. The victim's passport identified him as Kim Chol from North Korea. When North Korea was informed about his demise, they confirmed that Kim Chol was his real name and insisted on getting his body back right away without an autopsy. But Malaysian authorities were suspicious. Why was North Korea so eager to claim the body to avoid an autopsy? Malaysia refused to return the body without running a few tests. After a series of DNA tests, the truth was revealed. Kim Chol was actually
We have
Kim
one
Jong-nam,
job.
the
Save this
half-brother
Earth.
of North
No
Korea's
excuses.
leader, Kim Jong-un.
These new details are disturbing to say the least.
Terrifying, Amy. This is a truly shocking development.
As news of the victim's identity spread, everyone wondered who might be responsible. But to most people, it was obvious that North Korea was behind it. Kim Jong-nam was considered an enemy of North Korea, and the use of VX poison made the situation more suspicious. VX isn't a chemical that ordinary criminals get their hands on. It was rare. However, North Korea reportedly had stockpiles of VX and could produce it in industrial quantities. The Malaysian police reviewed the airport's CCTV footage and saw CT and Don rubbing something on Kim's face before running away. The whole crime was caught live on camera. The cops launched a manhunt for the two women. Meanwhile, CT and Don still had no clue what they did. After the prank, they washed their hands, got paid, and left the airport. Just days after the assassination, authorities tracked down CT and Don and arrested them. As they were led away in handcuffs, both women looked confused. Up until that moment, they had no idea what really happened.
Investigators in Malaysia have arrested a suspected female secret agent in this James Bond
CT
Spike planted.
being in jail was part of the prank, but as the truth set in, CT and Don faced a terrifying reality. Their prank had taken a man's life. Now they were being charged.
One enemy remaining.
The prosecution was demanding the highest possible punishment.
Suppressing.
Death is over. Guilty or innocent. On March 1st, 2017, CT and Don were taken into a Malaysian high court by armed soldiers where they were officially charged.
25-year-old Indonesian Siti Asia and 28-year-old Vietnamese Doan Tin Huan appeared publicly in court for the first time.
Thank you for the subs, yo. Appreciate you.
Throughout their trial, they were stuck
Chat,
behind bars.
I know.
The Malaysian prison was terrible. The cells were overcrowded, the beds were uncomfortable, and they had to use a bucket as a toilet.
I should get
CT
this
and Don
over.
held onto a sliver of hope.
But it's alright.
Shutting them down.
Trying to save my money.
They thought maybe they could convince the
Three
judge
suppressed.
to trick. They heard two things that made them hopeful.
Oh, this purchase my
Malaysian
Odin from the
police
night market
arrested
though.
a North Korean man and might be connected to the case. Then Interpol issued a red notice, which was like an arrest warrant for 4 more people identified as suspects. Surely this meant that they were closing in on the real masterminds of the plot. But only days later, their hopes crumbled. The North Korean suspect was released because there wasn't enough evidence linking him to the crime. Malaysian police admitted they believed he was involved in the plot but lacked evidence to prove it. The other spies also found ways to escape arrest, most of them disappearing without being traced.
Enemy spotted.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining. Flawless.
Reloading.
I'm scared.
Reloading.
I'm
None
delighted.
has been arrested. All fled the country for
Even
North
with
Korea
numbers, anything
within
can still
hours of the killing.
With no
Remember
one to
that.
blame, the full weight of the case fell on CT and Dom. The prosecution had an open and shut case. The CCTV footage showed everything. CT and Don rushing up to Kim Jong-nam, smearing VX on his face, and then running off quickly. The most suspicious part was that both women ran straight to the bathroom to wash their hands. If they didn't know the chemical was dangerous, why were they so desperate to clean up? They argued that CT and Don had been recruited by 4 North Korean officers and trained as assassins to carry out the poison.
One
It was
suppressed.
a long trial. Weeks turned into months, turned into years. CT and Don started to lose faith. They sat quietly in court each day, watching their hopes of freedom fade. Then in March 2019, something surprising happened. The prosecutors dropped the murder charge against CT and decided to put all the blame on Don. The plot twist. As we already know, the CCTV footage showed CT and Don committing the crime. However, on March 11, 2019, prosecutors told CT she was free to go. They dropped the murder charge that day and put her on a private jet heading to Jakarta, Indonesia.
The 26-year-old
Knife deployed.
from custody Monday morning.
One suppressed.
Told the court they've been instructed to withdraw charges
though they wouldn't say
Launching
why.
smoke.
Speaking to reporters, tears in her eyes, CT said,
Spike
"I'm very
planted.
happy. I didn't expect my release. This is my day of freedom." They didn't give an official reason for letting her go, but there's a likely explanation. Although the assassination happened in Malaysia, CT and Dawn
Oh my god.
CT was from Malaysia. Behind the scenes,
Enemy spotted.
the
They're
government
close.
was pushing
They're
hard
close.
for CT's release. Top officials, including the president, made countless calls to Malaysian leaders, pressuring them to free CT because she'd been tricked. They even hinted that if CT stays in prison, it might strain relations
Last player
between
standing.
Indonesia and Malaysia. Eventually, Malaysia gave in to the pressure and sent CT back to Indonesia. For Dawn, though, things were very different. Being from Vietnam, she didn't have
Take out
Indonesia's
Cypher's
help.
cameras.
Even after CT
He's
was
weak when
released,
he's
the court
blind.
wouldn't drop the charges against Dawn. Her lawyers argued that it was unfair, but nothing changed. Dawn was left to face the trial alone. The stress took a toll on her. She lost weight, couldn't sleep, and often broke down in tears. Without CT there, she felt completely alone. Then, on April 1st, 2019, things took a sudden turn. Prosecutors offered Dawn a reduced charge for voluntary causing injury with a dangerous weapon. It wasn't total freedom, but it meant a lot less prison time, and most importantly, Dawn pleaded guilty, and her sentence was announced. 3 years and 4 months. But with good behavior and 2 years in jail, Dawn was finally free. Now, the two innocent women are back home trying to piece their lives back together. A reminder of how easily people can be manipulated. In the pursuit of a better life, they were used in a way they could have never imagined. My friends, if something looks too it probably is. Visual Venture.
Time to jump.
If you guys like this video, then watch my video on how a Boy Scout turned into a $1.2 billion drug lord right here. It's an honor that you guys are watching. Now on to 1 million. Let's go. Peace.
Not everyone's
Revealing
life
area.
runs in straight lines. At Sophia,
Spike
we get
planted.
that. Our flexible, affordable, self-paced college-level courses help thousands.
Now we're cooking.
People were
Smoke's
terrified the world was going to
This is not one of the summer movies.
Enemy spotted.
Last player standing.
A Senate panel described Y2K, the year 2000 computer bug, as a worldwide crisis.
The president called me one night and said, here's an office and an assistant, and don't let the world stop.
I don't
Some
care
called
if
it
there
the
are
panic
5 of them or
century,
50
while
of them.
others described
Let's
it as
go.
a major world-changing threat, and they weren't exaggerating. In the late 90s, a tiny mistake in a computer code caused global anxiety. From top officials in Washington, D.C. to farmers in Alaska, everyone was worried that this computer glitch would end civilization. I'm Visual Venture, and this is the story of how one computer bug almost ended the world. Hope you guys have a beautiful day ahead. The beginning of the end. The year was 1993, and it was an exciting year. In January, Bill Clinton became the 42nd president of the United States. In June, a movie called Jurassic Park hit theaters. In August, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first debuted on TV. However, in September 1993, the excitement suddenly turned into anxiety. That month, Canadian software specialist Peter Diager published an article in the Computer World magazine titled Doomsday 2000. The article described a mysterious computer glitch that was so terrible it could cause everything to fall from the sky, make banks lose track of their money, and crash every computer. It was called the Y2K bug, and it had the power to collapse civilization.
Everything ain't fine. We are this close to just going
Spike
crazy.
planted.
What the hell is gonna explode?
Computer World was the largest IT magazine at the time, so millions of people
Oh
read
yeah!
the article.
Monster on the loose!
Down.
But what exactly caused this computer problem, and why did they name it the Y2K bug?
Y is short for year. 2, of course, means 2, and K is the scientific symbol for 1,000. So Y2K is simply short for year 2000.
In other words, the Y2K bug was a computer glitch that would happen.
Last player
To
standing.
understand why the bug was so dangerous, we need to go back to the early days of the computer in the 1960s. Every computer is programmed to be able to display the date. However, when computer programs were being written during the 1960s
I will fulfill my
and 1980s, computer engineers used a 2-digit code to identify a year. For example, instead of writing 1983, the computer would simply write 83. 1995 would be 95, and 1998 would be 98. Engineers shortened the date because data storage in computers was expensive and took a lot of space.
Programmers only use 2 digits for 2 reasons.
One, they didn't have a lot of memory space for their programs. And secondly, they never imagined their software would last as long as it did.
So millions of computers in banks,
Shutting them
offices,
down.
schools wrote the date using 2 digits only.
One
The system
suppressed.
worked just fine for decades until the late 90s when IT professionals foresaw a huge problem. They realized that as December 31st, 1999 turned into January 1st, 2000, the year changed from 99 to 00, computers might think that the year
Calling
is
down.
1900 instead of 2000. Both 1900 and 2000 could be interpreted as 00 by a computer.
Why use 4 numbers when you only need 2? And then they recognize.
Spike down A.
Think it is.
This would confuse
Last player standing.
Oh. And although this seemed like a simple
Come on,
date error, it
man.
had devastating
I am the hunter!
Many computers and computer chips around the world will think it's 1900,
Time to stock back up.
not 2000. Because of this, many computers will behave unpredictably, malfunction, or simply crash.
By the 1990s, every aspect of life relied on computers. Computers were used to manage healthcare, banking, transportation, and even government. If every computer in the world got confused and crashed at the same time, it would disrupt every aspect of human life.
Now, the federal government is...
Suppress it.
Internet allows you to do whatever you want.
They are everywhere.
One suppressed.
Symbols of an electronic revolution. The .com.
Have you ever clicked on a website and instantly regret it? You're not the only one. There are over 1 billion websites in the world today, with about 10,000 new websites created every year. Most of these websites have positive content, some are terrible.
Spike down mid.
Unsettling websites, starting from the lighter stuff to the more disturbing
Time to
sites
jump.
at the end.
Tango down.
Urban outrage. At first glance, Urban Outrage looks like an ordinary website.
One enemy remaining.
Gotcha, fun. My
You'll
turn.
notice a couple of strange things about the page. For instance, the bags have weird red
One enemy remaining.
stitches and the shoes have a gooey red material.
Healing you.
As you scroll down, you'll see weird slogans like "Humans make us who we are," and "The leather's on you, the shipping's on us." However, this disturbing website seems to make sense when you Google Urban Outrage. The top result reads Urban Outrage, genuine
I'll let you live,
for humans.
but that does not compute.
According to this description, Urban Outraged is a website that sells
Suck
luxury
better watch
products
them
made from
bugs.
human skin. At least that's what they claim.
Urban outrage that appears to feature
That's
clothes
why you
that
gotta
are
use your
made
blinds,
from human
guys.
skin.
There are links to their products right below the description. However, clicking one of these products opens up a world of horror. Urban Outraged has a long list of disturbing products. It seems they named each item after the person who was used to make it. For instance, there's the Avery jacket. Avery's leather is natural and one of a kind. After all, there was only one Avery. The Avery is the most luxurious skin, making this jacket natural.
Fire
and
in
unique.
the hole!
Then we have the Juliet skirt, which features our softest ever Juliet skin, meticulously tailored from the best of Juliet.
Enemy
The best
spotted mid.
portions of her hide were selected in order to ensure that the natural beauty is preserved in the product. There are also reviews from people who supposedly bought the clothing, like this one, which says totally unique boots. It's cool knowing that there are only a few pairs out there in the world because they specifically came from men. I'm knocking a star off because they're a little narrow, but if you have narrow
All
feet,
three,
they'll be
all
perfect.
three.
If the website wasn't
Smoke's
bad enough,
down.
it gets worse when you
On
click
site.
on the Afterlife collection page. Here, they offer to turn loved ones into handmade items.
Reload.
Knife deployed.
Your duty is not done.
Two
Spike
suppressed.
planted.
Kill the queen.
I'll handle this. Enemy spotted C. Launching smoke. Enemy down.
Is deeply disturbing.
Reloading.
And this has given the
Last player standing.
Urban
One
Outrage
enemy remaining.
trended on Twitter and received coverage from major media outlets, including the New York York Post, USA Today, as well as outlets in more than 20 countries. At one point, it sparked a huge debate about whether urban outrage is real or just a hoax. However, this debate is unnecessary because the truth is on the site, on a page called Our Story. Clicking that page reveals the entire website
Let
is
them
a
try to
publicity
get
stunt by the animal rights group.
I need a drop.
The fake online store was launched in the United States to highlight society's acceptance of using any living being for fashion.
The site is part of a campaign to pressure companies such as Urban Outfitters, that is, and its associated brands to stop selling items that use animal products, such as leather.
The stunt was so effective that the site attracted over 1.2 million page views from over 100 countries.
The animal rights
Shutting them down.
Provocative website will draw attention.
Too suppressed.
By the way, PETA can't legally use human skin to make products.
Although it's a fake store, the realistic pictures and unsettling product descriptions make urban outrage a very creepy website, especially for people who didn't know. The next website on our list is also been described as creepy. This one is actually Instacam. Imagine a stranger breaking into your house.
Oh yeah!
staring at you
Monster
while
on the
you sleep.
loose!
Thanks to a website called Instacam, this uncomfortable idea is reality for thousands of people. Most people haven't heard of Instacam.
Spike planted.
Goner.
Down you go.
From Oregon shared a disturbing post on Facebook.
Last player
Shelby
standing.
explained that she and her son
My ult's
live
ready.
satellite images of Earth to find places to go for the next vacation. While browsing, they stumbled upon a website that described itself as a live camera viewer. They decided to check it out, assuming that they'd see live videos of interesting locations around the world. However, what they saw wasn't just interesting, it was alarming. The website was live streaming footage from private security cameras inside thousands of homes. Shelby immediately reached out on Facebook to mothers groups in the area, trying to warn everyone that their security cameras were hacked and footage from their homes was being streamed online. Shelby's viral post helped millions of people discover Instacam, a website that spies on people by accessing cameras in homes, offices, and even bedrooms.
These men at a bar, this woman at her desk, these folks at a grocery store. All of them unwitting stars of a Russian website called Instacam.
There's even a Reddit forum where people screenshot and share private pictures from Instacam.
Enemy
live
spotted A.
streams. One Reddit user wrote, I found
Smoke
a very
down.
nice apartment in Italy and shared the link of a woman vacuuming.
Open up the
Watching her and
sky.
making comments like she's making searches, restaurants, streets, bars, beaches,
Cutting
they're
through.
all there streaming 24 hours.
Spike spotted A.
Spying on someone in their own home is the ultimate invasion of privacy, but it gets more disturbing when you discover
Spike
how
planted.
many webcams are streaming on the website. Instacam claims to be
Launching
the
smoke.
largest online camera directory.
One suppressed.
73,000 live streams available for anyone to watch. The cameras are from 256 countries, and users can filter by places, cities, and time zones. Now, how does Instacam get access to these private webcams? Many people install cameras. in
Last
their
player
offices
standing.
for security.
One enemy
Cameras are
remaining.
connected to the internet and forget about it. But there's a problem. Every new camera comes with a default password already programmed into it. This default password is the same for every camera from that manufacturer.
Because they only use default passwords. So
Activating kill mode. That's a joke. Kill mode is
When setting
default.
up a new camera, users are supposed to change the default password to a password they choose. Not changing the default password means that the webcam footage is available for all internet users to view.
You know the default password, they know the default password, and simply logging in like they were you.
The simple mistake allows Instacam to access cameras with default passwords and stream the footage online. Instacam's access to these webcams isn't due to a hack or malware. Many people just don't change their default settings when installing internet-connected cameras. The creator of Instacam
One suppressed.
wants to stay anonymous, making it tough for authorities to catch him. However, Instacam's IP address shows that the site is from Russia. As more people complain about the site, the anonymous creator of Instacam
Time to jump.
granted an interview to the Huffington Post. During the interview, he emphasized that he was proud of his site, stating, I do not have regrets. I did a great job to show the problem of neglectful users. Without this example, users do not care about the password. He emphasized that none of the cameras have been hacked. If users change the password on their cameras, there's no easy way for someone to gain access.
These people are
clearly trying to make a statement about, passwords and not using default passwords.
Enemy spotted.
However, many people doubt that Instacam's intentions are actually good. Writer
One
Matt
suppressed.
Solanoff asked the question, if the site's aim was really to help, why would it list thousands of webcams instead of just a handful? When asked if Instacam's creator felt bad for anyone whose privacy was invaded, he showed no remorse.
Enemy spotted A.
They think their privacy is not invaded without my site. There are tons of video records.
Come
images,
on,
30
bro.
seconds
What the
left.
fuck, Brim?
You had your fun. My turn. Spike down A.
Anyone who uses their camera,
Last player standing.
email them to get it taken off the site. However, the easiest way to get a camera off Instacam is clear.
Change the default password. Make it something that's unique to you. And then the
Spike planted.
Instacam changed their policies to make their site less creepy, whatever that means. Like Plane Crash Info. Plane Crash Info is a website that collects real stories of plane crashes. The site has data about hundreds of crashes, including the date, location, what caused the crash, and if there were any survivors. However, there's one part of the site that's heartbreaking. Plane Crash Info has a section dedicated to cockpit voice recordings. These are the recordings of what the pilots and crew were saying while the plane was going down. It's like listening to someone and hearing the panic in their
Last
voice.
round
They
before
realize
the
their life
switch.
is coming to an
Blown
end.
up.
In the
We're not
nav
coming
bar
back.
on the website, there's a button labeled Last Words. Clicking on it takes you to a page with cockpit voice recordings, transcripts, and air traffic control tapes. There's a warning at the top of the page. Caution may be disturbing to some individuals. Discretion is advised. Clicking on any of these links allows you to hear the voice recordings or read the transcripts.
Brace for impact.
As you scroll down the page, you'll
Shutting
also
them
see
down.
the final words of each recording listed
One
next to the
suppressed.
flight name. They include statements like "Ma, I love you," "Good night," "Goodbye," "We perish." Although this is uncomfortable to read, there's another page on the site that's just as upsetting. It's called Strange and Unusual Accidents. Yes, this page lists all the planes that have crashed for bizarre reasons. The reports go as far back as 1933. There's a story of an aircraft
Emergency reset required. I need a reset.
Accidentally set a plane on fire. There are many other interesting pages on the website, including one that categorizes crashes by airline. Another page talking about famous plane crashes. A page
Switching
with pictures
sides.
of plane wrecks. A page that uses Google Earth.
If I'm powered down,
to
restart
exact
me.
spot where
You
planes
leave me
went
for
down.
scrap,
And last
I'll
but
kill
not
you.
least, there's the 100 worst page, which lists 100 of the worst crashes ever recorded. Although the site was created to educate people about aviation safety, the level of detail about the crashes and fatalities creates a deeply unsettling experience for visitors. But while everything on Plane Crash Info is factual, this next site has information that most people would find too crazy to be true. The Black Vault. The Black Vault isn't just a website, it's a treasure trove of secrets. Created in 1996, the Black
Clear to
Vault
engage.
contains over
Weapons hot.
1.4 million pages of declassified documents about top secret
Suppress it.
government cover-ups. The site also contains
Scanning
in-depth
ahead.
essays
One
about
suppressed.
some of the most
Launching
bizarre
smoke.
conspiracy theories in the world. This includes information about Hitler, aliens, the Illuminati. Although the content on the Black Vault is pretty weird, it gets even crazier when you discover the site was created by a 15-year-old kid.
With 15 years
Smoke's
old.
down.
How did he get involved in it?
Back in 1996, while still in high school, John Greenwald Jr.
Lots of
was
spikes.
fascinated by aliens
Here.
and UFOs. His interest grew when he stumbled
Cutting
upon a
through.
website that said it had reliable, verifiable information about an alien
Spike
ship
planted.
flying over Iran. The site claims
Launching
it got
smoke.
its information from declassified documents from the U.S. government. John Greenwald Jr. was impressed by what he read and felt there was more secrets being hidden by secret agencies.
Last
For the
player
next
standing.
28 years, Greenwald devoted himself
One enemy
to
remaining.
publishing reports about conspiracy theories, secret projects, and declassified documents. Greenwald's work led to the creation of the blackvault.com, where you can find information about the wildest conspiracy theories. However, the most bizarre story on the Black Vault involves secret mind control experiments
Stand
that
tall.
took place in the
We
50s.
are Valorant.
MKUltra
We
was
are
a top
fighters.
secret program involving mind control experiments conducted by the CIA between 1953 and 1970. The purpose of the program was to develop ways to control human behavior, extract information, and even implant false memory. The Black Vault has 20,000 pages of MK Ultra documents diving into the darkest
Whatever it
aspects
takes.
of the program. MK Ultra involved a wide range of strange experiments, including hypnosis and brainwashing. They even tried to create a truth serum that, when injected, would make it impossible
One suppressed.
to lie. If this isn't creepy enough, the Black Vault claims MK Ultra was trying to use mind control to create hitmen who would obey any order and carry out lethal missions. It's no surprise MK Ultra has been described as 100 James Bond movie ideas rolled into a pile of real-life experiments. The project is pretty bizarre. However, the Black Vault's aliens are also out of this world, pun intended.
I know you all had a conversation here about the perfect website. Now
One
it's time
enemy
for
remaining.
Conversation is yours. Enemy in defender spawn. This whole flow is a conversation.
Knife deployed.
Actually build the website.
One suppressed.
You can go in any direction here. Online store, writing a blog.
That's the lot of them.
What's my business all about?
Reloading.
I'm going for a store. The AI is really guiding me here. And after
Never
the free
show
flow
weakness.
conversation, that gives
Ever.
a detailed site read. And just
People have been interested in aliens and UFOs since 1947.
Gun
A man
here.
named Kenneth Arnold claimed he'd seen 9 objects flying through the air like saucers skipping on water. Since then, more people have shared stories about alien abductions, alien encounters, and unidentified flying objects. This has fueled conspiracy theories that the government is withholding information about alien activity on Earth. The Black
Smokes
Vault
down.
contains
Knife
approximately
deployed.
2,700
One suppressed.
CIA documents about unidentified flying
Enemy
objects.
spot smoke.
Classified by the CIA in the 80s,
Not
these
the spike.
reports contain stories that suggest aliens might be among us.
Millions of government documents regarding UFOs that have since been released through your website, Black Vault. Is there damning evidence amongst
Last player standing.
The documents cover UFO sightings from various regions, including Morocco, Iran, and Ukraine. Late-night explosions in a tiny Russian town, a suspicious aircraft flying over
Drink
a
some
military
water,
base,
reload your
more
mags, and let's get back out there.
But even after this passage of time, there's nothing to explain a UFO that was seen over Tehran. Multiple UFOs were seen coming out of it.
The files also include confidential messages from CIA UFO experts discussing the possibility of aliens living on our planet. Greenwald has been called a folk hero to the UFO community because of the information on his website. Exit Mundi. Exit Mundi is a website that lists and describes all the ways
Shutting them
the world
down.
could
Smokes
end.
down.
From asteroids hitting the Earth to AI taking over, Exit Mundi talks about everything. The website's writer claims
Hostile
to use
KIA.
scientific analysis to make each end of the world seem more believable, as if it could really happen. Before Exit Mundi became a disturbing website, it was just a site someone made.
You're done.
Martin Keulemans, a professional science journalist from the Netherlands, launched Exit Mundi in 2001. He started
clear.
because he enjoyed researching and writing articles about the end of the world. As time passed, Keulemans kept on collecting more
Monster
and more
on the
scenarios
loose!
until the website was famous for its list of scary doomsday predictions. One of Exit Mundi's weirdest predictions is the mass insanity scenario. In the scenario, everyone in the world goes insane. The streets will be full of lunatics.
Last player standing.
Flapping their arms like birds. Even military commanders would go crazy and launch nuclear weapons which would destroy them.
Clutch.
However, Exit Mundi predicted the mass insanity scenario would occur in the year 2020, which was 4 years ago. Exit Mundi has a bunch
You
of
must
other
fall,
odd theories
then
of why
fall
this
near
world
me.
could end. There's the Big Crumble, which describes a scenario where everything breaks apart and humans melt
Can
into
someone
rancid
get this?
puddles of liquid. Then there's the classic earth-shattering kaboom, where a massive asteroid impact or a super volcano eruption obliterates the planet. And finally, the Robot War, a scenario in which machines revolt against humanity, which, by the way, AI is evolving, might
Humans
not
are
be
not
too
looking.
far-fetched. Exit Mundi isn't the only website that talks about the end of life. This next website takes things
Scanning ahead.
Shutting them
level,
down.
making it very
Launching smoke.
Death Date.
They say to
Smoke's
live
down.
every day like
Reloading.
your last, but what if you need they are
Not the spike.
Gotcha, fun.
claims it can
My
be
turn.
you are gonna
It says it can predict the exact date anyone will meet their demise. The site asks for some information.
Last player
calculates the
standing.
date of death in seconds. It's a disturbing idea, and some people actually wonder if the date they're given is when their life will end. When you arrive on the site, you're greeted by a dark homepage with a skull in the background. There's a message at the center of the page that says, "This mysterious tool will give you the answer to the most important
Watch
question
them
of
run
your
when
life.
lit by
Your
my
time
sun.
will come.
That's
Don't wait any
when we
longer.
strike.
Go to the death date form, enter your or someone else's details, and click calculate. The site will process your data and calculate the death date. Remember, you're using this site at your own risk. The site has other features like an entire page with a long list of celebrities predicting when each of them will pass away. A-listers like Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Britney Spears, Eminem, and even Beyonce are on the list. Like many strange websites, no one knows who made this site. However, the website appears to have been around for a while with a photo showing copyright from 2006. So how exactly is the death date calculated? To figure out the date, the website requires your name, birthday, sex, height, weight, and signature. The message on the form says, please fill out this form. Don't be afraid to share your data. It's necessary only for your death date calculation. The only thing you should be concerned about is information has been provided. Calculate
Spike down A. Last player standing.
The post, a Reddit user tells the story of a friend, Zach, whose life unexpectedly ended on the exact
I'll survive a
date
dent or
predicted
two.
by the website.
Can't say the same
Instead
for you
of
fragile
scaring
units.
people away from the website, it had the opposite effect. Dozens of people from the Reddit group rushed to the site to check their dates. Minutes later, returned to share which date they got. One said, I checked the site. Apparently, I'll die at age 72. I'm fine with that. I'll have a full life and get things done that I'll want to do. Another said June 14th, 2080. Pretty long life right
into
there.
the
We don't know
unknown.
if the Reddit story is true or not, but it might convince certain people the website
Knife
and
deployed.
death date give accurate predictions.
But other people will make crazy decisions and say, well, I've only got to do this last
Ult's
my
ready.
job and I'm going to,
Smoke's
yeah,
down.
like a healing song, you know?
For many people, the thought
We
of passing
carry it.
away triggers fear, but this next website instills fear because it could put you in real danger. Demise.
No one walks away.
So people can see your brand up close. Also print
Here.
signs so that people can see your business.
Spike planted.
See it here. And see it here. So you stand out. Even when they're way
Reloading.
In October 2023, NPR published an article titled Too Dangerous, Why Even Google Was Afraid to Release This Technology. According to the article, back in 2011, Google developed facial recognition technology that could scan and find people.
Enemy down.
However, after spending millions of dollars creating
One enemy remaining.
they realized it would be too dangerous if it fell into the wrong hands.
Google decided not to release a
Revealing
tool that
area.
would have let users search a photo
You
with
died
face
last.
and find other
Good
images
job.
with that face online.
Years later, another team of developers invented
I'll
the
shut them
same
down.
technology.
Until
This
then,
time, it
survive.
released it to the world. It's
Spike's
called
here.
Pimize, and it's been described by multiple
Need
news
equipment.
outlets as the most disturbing AI website on the internet. Launched in 2017 by software engineers from Poland, Pimize is an AI website that lets you upload a photo of a person, and then it searches the internet to find other photos of that same person. It's like a search engine for faces. If the
Safety's
person you're
off.
searching for appears in any photo on publicly accessible sites like Tumblr, news outlets, and blogs, Pimize
Smoke down.
Knife deployed.
And it shows every single photo.
One suppressed.
Could be the most dangerous superpower in the world of science fiction.
Here's how the technology works. Pimize analyzes masses of faces on the internet for individual characteristics and stores the biometric. When the user tries to search for someone, it compares the face to those in the database and delivers matches.
Launching smoke.
The results also show the domain name where the photo was found. The creators of Pimize say it helps people protect their privacy by finding where their photos are being used online. In 2020, Pimize claimed their database contains 900 million
Last
faces
player
based on
standing.
photos they found. Pimize rules state that users should only search for themselves or people who have given their consent. However, there's nothing preventing anyone from searching for others.
So what happens when a stranger on the street or online
can find your identity in less than a second.
The basic version of PimEyes is free for anyone to
You
use.
clean up
However,
whatever's
the
left.
company also has advanced features for monthly fees. That's where the problems begin. With a paid subscription, PimEyes allows users to upload images of different people and get alerts whenever a new photo of those people appear online. Critics say this is a stalker's dream, because as long as they've got a photo on you, they can use the site to track down more. By combining
down, guns
information
up,
from blog
get deadly.
posts and photos on a workplace website, a stalker might be able to
hunt begins.
Smoke. For a living.
Suppress it.
There are no checks to use their service. It
Reloading.
allows users to stalk dozens of people each day, to set face alerts up to 500.
Reloading.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Reloading.
Enemy
Spike down mid. Last player standing.
It used to be that you could just be a face in the crowd. We are fast approaching a world where that is.
Although PimEyes executives
Defenders
say social
win.
media images aren't part of their database, there have been instances where pictures uploaded to Facebook and Twitter were found. In response, Facebook banned all accounts associated with PimEyes on both Facebook and Instagram. They've also sent PimEyes a legal notification to stop accessing any data, photos, or videos from their platforms. But PimEyes' problems didn't stop there. PimEyes was hit with several lawsuits in Europe and the US. Big Brother Watch accused PimEyes of
Alright,
encouraging
I'm gonna end
stalking.
stream from there. Appreciate y'all for watching. I'll see y'all.